Shashidhar sir, can we start?
Madam?
Can we start, sir?
Yeah, we can start.
Yeah. We will now begin with our third session of the day. Our speaker for this session is Dr. Shashidhar Chirugudi. A small introduction about the speaker. Shashidhar sir is currently working as Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, National Institute of Technology, Karnataka, Surat. Sir received his PhD degree from IIT Kharagpur in 2011. He successfully guided 3 PhD students and 9 ongoing. Sir is principal investigator for the projects titled like retinal cyst identification and quantification from the low SNR OCT scan using image processing technique, funded by DST under EMR grants. And one more project titled Speaker Recognition System for Kannada Language and Emotional Environmental, funded by PSRI. Sir has published more than 150 plus papers in reputed journals and conferences. Sir's research interest areas are like speech and audio processing, image processing, and machine intelligence. We are glad you are here with us today, sir.
Thank you, madam.
We welcome you here, sir. Over to your session.
Please make me as a presenter so that I can present my slides.
Yes, please.
ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಉಂಟು ಹೌದು ಹೌದು ಸಂಜೆ ಕೌಂಟ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಜೆ ಹಂಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು ಇಲ್ಲ ಒಂದರೆ ಇದು ತಲೆ ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಉಂಟು ಕುಡಿಯಬೇಕು ಅದೇ 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 ಹಾಗೆ ಅನಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಹೌದು ಓಕೆ ಇದೇನಾಯ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ ಇದು ಹೌದು ಅದಲ್ಲ ನೀವೇನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು
ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್? ಹಲೋ ರೂಪಾ ಮೇಡಮ್,
ಸರ್
ನಂದು ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಅದೇ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ ಸರ್. ಸರ್ ಬಂತು ಸರ್,
ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
ಯಾ ಸರ್, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವಿಸಿಬಲ್.
ಓಕೆ ಫೈನ್. ಈಗ ಫುಲ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಸರ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದೆ.
Okay. Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to this session. After a long gap, I got an opportunity to talk on the topic of my research. Till now, most of my talks were on basics, fundamentals, and those kind of things. But this time the coordinators themselves have chosen the topic and they have given that to me. So I think this will be little more technical, as it is directly a research topic. But nevertheless, you need not have to worry. At any time in between, if you feel some doubt or some difficulty, you can raise that through organizers. I'll try to address it there itself if that facility is there. Otherwise, you may make a note of that, and at the end of the session, you can ask me the questions. So I know that the participants make a heterogeneous group. So as it's a heterogeneous group, many of you might not be directly doing or directly working on speech related aspects or speech processing aspects. So I try to keep my presentation, though it is technical, as simple as possible. And I will assure you that nothing new I'll be discussing in this presentation. All the things what I discuss, somewhere here and there, all of us know that. So there is no confusion or there is something new which we are studying. So already we know that, just I will relate all of them and I'll try to keep them in some systematic fashion so that it fulfills the title of this presentation. The title of this presentation is Emotion Recognition from Speech Using Source, System and Prosodic Features. I will come to the details of these three typical kind of features, source, system and prosodic, later in my presentation. But before that, I want to elaborate this title. Emotion recognition from speech. Human beings are special creatures, special creations of this nature who can express their emotions. Animals sometimes express their emotions, like they express that they are hungry, they express that they are angry through their actions or something. But altogether, human beings have got different perception of emotions. We can express emotions either through our actions or only through our speech. Our speech itself can be sufficiently emotive to decide the emotion of a person who is speaking. The title of this workshop is Computer Vision, Pattern Recognition, Challenges and Opportunities. And I try to fit my topic of emotion recognition from speech into this one. To be very specific, all machine learning algorithms, all artificial intelligence approaches try to recognize pattern in some numbers or images or whatever it is. So majority of the things that we study as AI or ML techniques, they are nothing but pattern recognition techniques. Pattern, it may be a pattern of numbers, it may be pattern of pixels, finally numbers, pattern of pixels, colors, frequency, whatever it is. Finally, everything gets manifested in the form of numbers. So how numbers appear, whether numbers have got some relations between them or not. If the first number is related to fifth number, 10th number, 15th number, something like that. So this kind of pattern we try to recognize. So once I say emotion recognition, emotion can also be a pattern. Speech signal, if you see, speech signal is a single dimensional signal. If you take image is a two-dimensional signal where we represent it in the form of matrix. Matrix has got rows and columns, so it is two-dimensional signal. Speech is single dimensional signal because we have array of numbers. We have array of numbers. Those numbers represent amplitude along y-axis. That is the only parameter which we have, and default parameter what we have is along x-axis. So let us not worry much about that. I want to convey you that speech is also a single dimensional signal. And once we speak, different modalities are involved of speech production. How speech is produced by human beings. Probably one slide I will show you. I will tell you how the speech is produced so that it would be easy for us to understand the three terms which are related to features related to speech, like source, system, and prosodic features. So coming to the coverage, what I'll be doing here, it is introduction. It will continue throughout the presentation. In between, wherever some topics are to be introduced, I'll introduce them. Then some literature work in that. Some literature work in the speech emotion recognition. I will not be fully covering that because it may not be required at this point of time. And what is the need or motivation or scope of this work of emotion recognition? And what are the different speech data that I have used, especially in this work? And what exactly I do in case of speech emotion recognition? And what is the summary and conclusion of my research work? So this I'll be covering. So this is a very standard picture which everyone might have seen in some part of your life, starting from 5th standard to 12th. So now I'll be using this picture to explain the process of speech production. Here you are seeing different things. I suppose you are seeing the cursor which I'm moving. Some of you please confirm me so that I feel that I'm being heard. Rupa madam, are you seeing
Yes,
the
sir.
cursor? Okay,
Yes,
fine.
sir. We can see the cursor.
Yeah. So this is a lung. From these lungs, the air goes out and it comes out of a mouth or a nose. We call it as a oral cavity or a nasal cavity while we produce a speech. So that is what, before we start producing speech, we inhale the air. Air goes inside, then it comes out from the lungs in a very systematic manner, producing a speech. We will discuss what is a systematic manner. Here you are seeing one thing, that is vocal folds. Vocal folds. Those are the muscular doors at the end of this lungs, at the end of this trachea, which we also call as windpipe, just before your throat. To this windpipe, there is a door. There are two doors actually. Those two doors are muscular components which will be closed and be opened. Be closed and be opened situationally. We shall see how these things will be closed and opened. So, sorry. So here, the air inside the lungs tries to come out. Assume that these doors are closed in the beginning, but this air tries to come out. Once air tries to come out, certain pressure is built from the bottom. Whenever this pressure is sufficient to open those muscular components, then the air passes through those vocal folds. So after certain air passes, the threshold or the pressure created by air from the lungs drops down, and again these two vocal folds close. Again air passing stops. Again the pressure is built from the bottom. Once the pressure crosses this threshold, again some air passed out, pressure drops down, vocal folds close. Again pressure is built, then once it crosses the threshold, vocal folds open, some air passes out, the pressure drops down, and the vocal folds close. Once the quantity of air in the lungs is not sufficiently high to create any pressure here to open the vocal folds, then we feel breathlessness, then we take air inside again to keep continuing talking. Right? This is the first aspect. Chunks of air gets released from the lungs and it comes and it enters through your mouth or nose. Whether it enters mouth or nose depends upon an organ called as velum. Once you keep your mouth wide open, you can see a bell kind of organ which is dangling at your throat. That is velum. This velum sometimes closes the oral cavity, sometimes closes the nasal cavity. It acts as a gate. Either the air which is released should pass through nose, or the air which is released should pass through mouth. So that is velum. Then once the air enters into your mouth, based on the movement of articulatory organs, we call them as articulatory organs. Articulatory organs are different organs of your mouth which participate in producing speech. Say for example, tongue is an articulatory organ, teeth are articulatory organ, jaws are articulatory organ, your lips are articulatory organs, velum is articulatory organ. All these articulatory organs behave in a specific manner to produce a specific sound unit. I try to remind, I will give a glimpse of some experiments we had done in our high schools and plus twos. I hope all of you have remembered the resonance box experiment which you had done in physics. In physics, probably plus two or high school, I do not remember, but the experiment we had done where we had tuning fork in our hand and we have a rubber pad and we have some 3-4 boxes of different shape and size. We used to hit that tuning fork to the rubber pad, it starts vibrating, and that vibrating tuning fork I put in different sized and shaped boxes. So once I put this vibrating tuning fork into different sized and shaped boxes, different sounds we hear, right? Because of the resonances. Some frequency components of this vibration get energized, and the frequency components whose energy is more, and because the harmonics being created also, we hear that sound. And do you remember that? If the shape of the box is bigger, size of the box is bigger, then different sound. If the size of the box is smaller, then one more kind of sound. This kind of sounds we heard in the tuning fork experiment. Similarly, our oral cavity also acts as resonance box. Size and shape of this resonance box will be decided by activity of articulatory organs like mouth, teeth, lips, all these parts. So once our oral cavity takes different shapes and sizes and shapes, different sound units are produced. As we heard different sound units once we keep vibrating tuning fork into different shaped and sized boxes. These different sound units are nothing but different phonemes. In any language, we have around 40 to 45 sound units, which we call as phonemes. Means human beings, by practice, have learned to make our oral cavity into 45, at least 45 different shapes and sizes, so that 45 different sound units can be produced. O is one sound unit. A, E, A, U. All these are sound units, different sound units. So you can say all these things by yourselves, and you can see how your mouth changes the shape. How your mouth changes the shape. So once the chunks of air being released from lungs come into oral cavity, that acts as vibrations of tuning fork. That acts, the chunks of air act as vibrations of tuning fork, and accordingly the sound is produced. Right? And this opening and closing activity of vocal folds, opening and closing activity of vocal folds, I know where I am. Opening and closing of vocal folds. Have you heard about pitch of a person? Pitch of a speech, pitch of a person. So I am not facing you physically, so I cannot ask a question to you expecting an answer. Pitch of a speech, or pitch of a person is rate at which these vocal folds open and close per second. Fine. Per second, how many times the vocal folds close and vocal folds open. That decides pitch of a person. So female pitch is normally high. Female pitch is normally high means female vocal folds can open and close very fast compared to males. It is because the construction, the muscular weight of female vocal folds is less. So less threshold or less pressure is required by the air to keep them open. So per second they vibrate more number of times. And once they vibrate more number of times, so per second the vibration opening closing pattern is more. So pitch of female is more. If the pitch is more, then obviously the voice is melodious. The voice is melodious. Pitch in case of children is still higher because their vocal folds are not completely grown. So in that case, their voice is much melodious, more melodious than female. It is the reverse in case of males. Normally, male pitch varies between around 80 to 120 times. Means per second, 80 to 120 seconds, 120 times the opening and closing of the vocal folds happen. In case of females, it will be around 100 to 180, 200 times per second. In children, it is around 300 times per second. So those many times your vocal folds keep vibrating. This vibration creates chunks of air. Those chunks of air enter into your mouth. Then because of the shape and size, resonance box, different sound units are produced. These sound units are nothing but phonemes of a language. Fine. And whenever these vocal folds vibrate, we produce certain kind of sound units. Those are called as voiced sound units. Voiced sound units. We can also produce some sounds without vibration of these vocal folds. That is called as unvoiced sound. All whispers are unvoiced sounds. Say for example, you say her. Once I say her, with Vyanjana her is also joined. Vowel so it is her. Otherwise it is. So once I say our vocal folds will not vibrate. To feel vibration of vocal folds, you keep your hand, your forefinger and the thumb on your throat and say any vowel, e, u, a. So you feel the vibration and say, you feel the absence of vibration. Right? The feeling of vibrating vocal folds can be experienced, and whatever sound units you produce because of vibration of these vocal folds, all sound units are called as voiced sound units. For example, all vowels are voiced sound units, and majority of the consonants are unvoiced sound units. Say for example, k, not k, o is added there. All these are unvoiced sound units. Means these happen without vibration of vocal folds. Fricative, say for example, this is also unvoiced. So this is a general concept of how human beings produce speech. So once you know this, then you need to understand how the features or the information related to emotion can be extracted from this speech. Speech, once it radiates out of lips, can be observed in 3 different forms. That is, the excitation which is responsible for speech. Excitation means for every response there should be a stimulus, isn't it? For every response there should be a stimulus. Stimulus means cause. What causes this response? So the stimulus for speech production is vibration of these vocal folds or the air that is coming from the lungs and entering into mouth. Right? This is stimulus. So stimulus can also be called as excitation, which excites, which stimulates. Right? So there is one aspect which is excitation part, from which I can study about speech being produced. Just try to remember these words. There is nothing new in this. So here, opening and closing pattern of vocal folds or vibration of vocal folds is an excitation part. To this excitation, your articulatory organs in the mouth behave in a specific manner to produce a specific sound unit. That is the response. And response to this excitation happens inside your mouth, oral cavity. So we can also extract features from oral cavity. One aspect, we can extract features from the excitation, the stimulus, that's vibration of vocal folds. Another means of extracting features is what happens to this stimulus inside the oral cavity. That is response, right? So oral cavity activity. Then the third aspect is once the speech is radiated out of your mouth, what are the physical properties of the speech? Means how fast I am speaking. Am I including an intonation in my speech? Am I trying to explain emotion in my speech? Am I louder? Am I mute? So all these things are the third aspects, which we call as prosodic aspects. Prosodic aspects. So related to speech, I can study three basic what? Concepts. One, what are the excitations for this speech production, and what is the stimulus for this excitation? And once the speech signal is available, by measuring the physical quantities of this speech signal, I can get some information. These are the three things which I will be covering while trying to extract emotion from speech. That's what it is called as source. Source is excitation, vocal folds vibration. System is an activity that happens inside your mouth. Those are called as system features. Prosodic, once the speech signal is available to you, we can measure its energy, we can measure its distance, length, we can measure the frequency, we can measure the pitch. All these things will help me to extract certain features. So my whole presentation concentrates on these three kinds of features. So this is, you don't worry about it if you find that it is much difficult. It is nothing but, if you are from electronics background, you know that the star indicates convolution operation. Star indicates convolution operation. H of n is frequency response of this time varying digital filter. In the analogy, what I had already discussed, this is a oral cavity. H of n is a oral cavity, and E of n is a signal which will come from periodic impulses, or which will come from the combination of periodic impulses and the noise. Noise is the air which is coming from the lungs. Periodic impulses are because of vocal folds opening and closing, periodic opening and closing. Chunks of air are produced, as I said. And G is a gain, means either we increase the amplitude of this or we decrease the amplitude of this by exerting certain pressure or certain force. That comes here as E of n. So E of n is excitation, H of n is a response. These two are convolved to get S of n. S of n is a speech signal. Fine. So this is a basic model for the speech production. This is a basic model. Coming to emotion processing. So in emotion processing, we have two tasks. One is emotion classification or recognition. Another is emotion synthesis. Means a machine should do it. Computer should do it. Once you give an unknown speech to computer should tell that what is the emotion of a person who has spoken those words. That is called speech recognition, emotion recognition. It's also called as emotion classification. You see here, input to this box is speech signal, emotion classification module used to be there, and it gives you emotion category. This is emotion recognition. And you have emotion synthesis. Two kinds of approaches are used. The first approach, you see, very simple thing. You need to produce a speech in a specific emotion of a particular text. My name is Shashidhar. This used to be produced in anger. My name is Shashidhar. Right? you can observe the difference. My name is Shashidhar is a plain speech. My name is Shashidhar. Little difference. That difference you can observe. Right? We shall see what the difference, why the difference is. So what we get here is input text. We get text as an input, and we also get in which emotion I want it. My name is Shashidhar. There's a difference. You can observe this, isn't it? So what I do here is I have collected a huge database in different emotions which I want to produce. So I have x1 to xn, means I have collected whole database in anger before, and I have collected a very big database in sad mode. I have collected a very big database in a happy mode. I have kept all of them, and whenever I give certain text for production of a speech with different emotions, then from the particular database, speech units are taken. Based on the text, those are concatenated, and the speech is produced. I do not know whether you followed this or not. So normally in speech production, how we do that? First, we collect a huge speech corpus. And from that speech corpus, we separate out all units, which we call as phonemes. And whenever a new speech is to be produced, again we separate phonemes from them. Corresponding phonemes we take from the database, we put them one after the other, and the speech is produced. My name is Shashidhar. My is one phoneme. Ne, two phonemes. So my, ne, are chosen from that existing data set. They are kept one after the other, which we call as concatenation. Then we say that this is a produced speech. So now what I am doing, I have collected a database in all the emotions, 6 or 7 emotions. So I want to produce speech in a particular emotion. I take phonemes from that data set, put them one after the other, and say that this is a produced speech in a given emotion. Very simple, isn't it? This is one approach. The other approach is I have natural speech database or neutral speech database. Means I have collected a very huge data set which is neutral in nature. Neutral means no emotions are there. It's a flat speech. We call it as flat speech. And we know certain techniques of transforming a speech from one emotion to other emotion. Say, my name is Shashidhar. My name is Shashidhar. There is a change. If you ask me the emotion, I say that the second speech is in an anger tone. So once a speech from normal emotion becomes with anger emotion, there are certain changes. What are those changes? I raised my voice, which is called as increase in the amplitude. And I was little fast, which is called as speaking rate. Fine. So these kind of parameters I can change on the neutral speech, and I can create different emotions. So that's what it is said here. What is given here in green box? Signal processing module to incorporate emotion specific information. I have emotion specific information for n emotions. For anger, how the speech looks like. For sad, how the speech looks like. These features I impose on neutral speech dataset, and I use certain signal processing techniques, and then I concatenate those transformed speech units one after the other. Then I get emotion speech. This is another way of synthesizing emotions. If you ask me which one will be more efficient, obviously the first one is more efficient because first one contains all human produced emotive data. Second one, you took a plain speech and you modulated it, you did certain changes into it, then you produced it. Right? So where do we apply them? Where do we use them? So almost all speech processing techniques which we are using today in the industry as a scientific outcome, all of them are working on plain speech, non-emotive speech, neutral speech, which is not a reality. Which is not a reality. Always I cannot be neutral. So some years before, around 10 years before, DD news readers used to be like that. They used to tell a very sad news like earthquake had happened in Gujarat and 2 lakh people have died and India won the World Cup in cricket. Both the messages they used to tell in the same pitch without any emotions. That kind of thing in a real life by human beings is not possible. Always, whenever I start speaking, I will be in one or the other emotions. I cannot be flat. Based on the situation, I will be in one or the other emotions. But almost all speech systems which are working now are working on studio recorded non-emotive neutral speech, which is not reality. So those systems will not be able to apply in real world scenarios. So if you want to apply speech systems in real world scenarios, those should be capable of processing emotions. So that is first and foremost motivation for us to process emotions. So that's what designing speech-based natural and sophisticated HMIs, human machine interfaces. Now whatever human machine interfaces we have, speech processing systems we have, they are not practical. So they are producing, they are understanding, it is fine, but they cannot be brought into a real world scenario. And developing realistic speech systems. Now our speech systems are fine if we use them in laboratories, in constrained environment. But if it comes to reality, they will not work. Right? Detecting positive and negative emotions to monitor and analyze speech-based customer-centric applications. Normally, you might have experienced once you call certain call centers, IVRS starts. So this IVRS, irrespective of your need, it keeps on either asking you to press the next option or telling something which is irrelevant to you. So your feeling also changes there. Your emotions also change. Normally you get frustrated and you become anger. You cannot shout also because even if you shout, it cannot respond to you in that manner. But if that system on the other side, which we call as IVRS, is capable of recognizing your emotion and suddenly transferring call to a human call attendant, it saves a lot of time. A machine can understand an emergency. Say, for example, hospital IVRSs. Patient is critical, got a heart attack, and your IVRS takes 10 minutes to respond. It's not reality. It cannot be used in real world situations, isn't it? Assuming an emergency, understanding an emergency, if a call can be directly sent to a concerned doctor, right? So in IVRS based or speech based customer centric applications, emotion processing plays a very important role. And storing and retrieving of audio files based on emotions. Say for example, I want to hear only to Kishore Das sad songs, Kishore Kumar sad songs. So how do I search them now? Even today, searching of Kishore Kumar sad songs is based on title of a song or it's a textual base. Somebody has written Kishore Kumar sad song, then it will be listed for you. Maybe inside there is something else. Inside there may not be Kishore Kumar sad song. Fine. But if your system is capable of processing the content itself, it can hear first 2 seconds of the song, it can decide whether it is it Kishore Kumar or not, which we call a speaker identification. Is it sad song or not? Emotion identification. If he is a Kishore Kumar, if it is a sad song, then only it can be listed to you in your that player. Those kind of applications, customization of listeners' requirements. Then speech-to-speech translation. Normally it happens in political parties campaign speeches in rural India. Say one national leader comes, he doesn't know the regional language, he speaks in Hindi, and there will be one translator standing side by, and he translates his Hindi speech into a local language. Normally, I do not know whether you have carefully observed that or not. The words, whatever a national level leader talks, those will be translated into a regional language as they are. It is word to word translation. The emotion of a national level leader cannot be expressed by the local leader, maybe because of several reasons. Maybe because of several reasons. His intent of speaking to people, his capability to understand the concept, something like that. But if you use a machine for that, if it can exactly understand what is the emotion of the speaker, the same emotion can also be included in the translated speech. It will be more effective. So, storytelling in many cases, storytelling what happens, we have a pre-recorded speech, the pre-recorded speech we play according to situation. So lot of human effort. For every story we have to record. For every news story we have to record. For all Ramayana we have to record. For all Mahabharata we have to record. All this Tom and Jerry we have to record. For all Peppa Pig we have to record. Instead of that, if we have one very big database which is recorded in local speech, and you can use certain signal processing techniques to convert that into different emotive speech. It can be a great thing. You can reduce a lot of money. For entertainment, we can use crime detection, lie detectors. All those things are the examples, some motivations for us to continue this work. So, as I said, classification of emotions, recognition of emotions, slight difference is there. But what work I did was classification of emotions. 6 emotions I had considered. That list you'll be seeing soon. And the features I had considered were prosodic features, source features, system features. Prosodic features, which I measure from the physical properties of speech signal after speech is produced. Source, excitation, vocal folds vibration. System, activities inside your mouth, which happen. So these are the important features which I had used. And the data set which I had used is simulated data set. We have 3 kinds of data sets. Simulated data set. Simulated data set means I go to certain artists and I know they are practiced to produce different emotions through speech. I will ask them to produce, I will give them a sentence text, and I will ask them to produce the same sentence in anger, happy, sad, compassion, surprise, like emotions. That is called as simulated. I have simulated the emotions. Elicited means without the knowledge of the speaker, I get emotions out of him. Say, for example, I say some bad words to someone, to my friend, and intentionally I make him angry. In that angry mode, he speaks something that I record and use it for my experiment. But it is very difficult to elicit all emotions. Anger I can elicit, surprise I can elicit. But there are some emotions like sad, compassion, it's very difficult to elicit. Naturalistic means there is some natural scenario. In that natural scenario, there are some people who are expressing or who are talking. Their emotions are natural emotions. I will record them and I will use them for processing. So 3 kinds of data sets are there. And normally majority of the people have worked on simulated data set. Because in simulated data set, we can have many emotions we can record. Because anyway it is simulated. Naturalistic data sets are very difficult to record because you do not know when people quarrel, when people are happy, when people are sad. And if the speech is from the same speaker, the results will be better because speaker information is common. So from the same speaker to record all emotions is very difficult in case of natural scenarios. Elicite is also very difficult, as I said. So people use naturalistic, simulated emotions. I think, are you able to? This is the speech sample which I have recorded for my research. The database is in Telugu language. Full-blown emotion. This is not playing. Fine. Full-blown emotion means the emotion will be totally expressed as if in a drama or some movies. That's called as full-blown. Normal emotions, the emotions which we see in our day-to-day activity. Full-blown emotions, they are dramatically expressed. If it is a full-blown emotion, then getting it recognized by the machine is easier because all features are very clearly expressed there. Normal emotions, it may not be possible always. We will come to that. But in my data set, I have used fairly normal emotions, but somewhere they were little full-blown also, not completely full-blown, little full-blown, because I recorded them from a drama artist. Those drama artists anyway, they are practiced to do drama with different emotions, so they are more emotive than required in some cases. And the classifiers for classification of these emotions, I have used two kinds of classifiers. So one set of classifiers which work on distribution of data, like Gaussian mixture models, and another set discriminative. They differentiate the features or objects based on the features, like SVM. I have used these two kind of classifiers. So what exactly we did here in this work is excitation source information is thoroughly studied. Excitation source information means the information which is related to vocal folds vibration. So once a person is in angry mode, what happens to his vocal folds vibration pattern? Will it be more or less? All those things. Similarly, once he's sad, what is the change in the vocal folds vibration pattern? All these things are studied. Spectral analysis. Spectral analysis means a system features, means the activities which happen inside your oral cavity or mouth of subsyllabic regions. Syllable, you know. Syllable is a sound unit which is built around a vowel. K is a syllable. K is a syllable. Because K includes Vyanjan K, consonant, and vowel and together become K. This is called a syllable. Subsyllabic regions means part of the syllable we use for emotion recognition. That we will come to know later. Prosodic features also we have used. Prosodic features means mainly three prosodic features I had used in my work. One is energy, which is directly related to loudness of speech. The second one is pitch. Vocal folds vibration pattern. And the third one is duration, how fast we are speaking. These three kinds of features, excitation, system, and prosodic, and combination of all these three features. Combining all these three features also, I have explored. So once after collecting the database, we did some subjective listening tests. Subjective listening tests means as it is simulated data, I need to see whether human beings can properly identify these emotions or not. If human beings themselves are not identifying, then definitely system cannot identify. So those are called as subjective listening tests. We call certain subjects, we ask them to hear to these sentences which we had recorded, and we asked them to give their perception of emotions, what emotions they feel. So then we checked whether those emotions are correct or not. Then using source features independently, we have tried to identify emotion using system features. So we tried features, we try to identify. Using prosodic features also, we try to evaluate the accuracy of identifying emotions. Then some applications we have developed using this basic core research. So regarding the dataset is recorded in Telugu. All artists are AIR Vijayawada, All India Radio Vijayawada artists. I used total 10 artists, 5 males and 5 females. 15 sentences were given to them. Those sentences do not contain any emotion salient words. Emotion salient words means there are some words, in the words itself there are emotions. In the words itself there are emotions. We should choose always a neutral words where there is no emotion. Through those neutral words the emotion should be expressed. Like, my name is Shishidhar. There's no emotive word in this. Hooray, we won the match. Hooray itself is emotion specifying word. You are very bad. Bad is emotion specifying word. So we have collected 15 sentences where all of them contain emotion-free words, non-emotion salient words. And the recordings were done in 10 different sessions. Means today they come and give recording. After 1 day or 2 days they come and give recording. Today morning they give and tomorrow evening they give. Because as speech production or human being speech is very natural process, it changes from time to time. In the morning your speech properties are different and in the evening your speech properties are different. So we called them at different times and we recorded them. Such a way 10 times we called them. So totally we recorded 12,000 sentences. Because 15 sentences, 10 speakers, 10 sessions and 8 emotions. Fine. And you can hear to these emotions. Same sentence which is played in different emotions. The 6 emotions which we had, not 6, 8 emotions which we had considered were anger, compassion, disgust, fear, happy, neutral, sarcastic and surprise. Neutral, are you hearing this what I'm playing? Rupa madam?
No, not exactly, sir.
Not being heard?
No, sir.
Nothing is being heard?
Nothing, sir, actually.
Okay. So I do not know how to make you people hear that because I'm playing, I'm hearing that. It's fine, not a problem. But what I can say is the same sentence which was recorded in 8 different emotions. So how different they are, just by hearing them you will be able to understand. It's fine, not a problem. Anyway, I have shared PPTs with organizers. If the same PPTs are shared to all others, you can also play and see there. You can hear to that.
We'll share it, sir. We'll share.
Oh, yes. Then hardware for recording is Shure Dynamic cardioid microphone, and recording sampling rate is 16 kilohertz. Similarly, Hindi dataset also we have collected. Hindi movie dataset also we have collected. So those things were used later for comparison of results. So first, for emotion recognition, subjective evaluation we did. Subjective evaluation means we called around 25 people, 25 people as I remembered, and I make these 25 people to hear to at least 20 sentences in each emotion, 10 by male speakers and 10 by female speakers. And I asked them to give emotion what they perceive in that sentence, and finally actual emotion we have compared, and the accuracy was around 60%. In case of male, in case of female, both. So means some emotion content is there. Human beings can recognize it, and now we can proceed with machine understanding of these emotions. Then what we did, we extracted certain features, very common source features, vocal fold related features, very common existing system features, your oral cavity related features, and prosodic features. Means those features which are available in the research community. We got around 47% of accuracy using only source features, 53 using system features, 60 using combination. And source features means LP residual signal was used, simple LP residual signal was used. I will tell what this LP residual signal is. And system features are LP coefficients and source plus system. This is not prosodic. Last one is not prosodic. Last one is combination of source and system. It's a combination of source and system. So there we got around 60%. So excitation source features. So mainly we had used LP residual. I will tell what LP residual is. LP is linear prediction. Linear prediction. Say for example, one student had scored 60% in first semester, 62% in second semester, 61% in third semester, 63% in fourth semester. What will be his possible percentage in the fifth semester? What will you do? In 4 previous semesters, he has scored 60, 61, 62, 60, 63, something like that. What will be his next performance? We take some linear combination of the previous numbers. Linear combination in the sense, we give different weightage to different numbers. Most weightage or higher weightage we will give to most recent result because student is changing. He started improving his performance or something like that. Around 50% weightage we give to just previous result. Some 10% weightage to previous. Likewise, we give different weightage and then we add them. That's called as linear combination. So this linear combination of 4 previous results I consider to predict the result of the same student in the next semester. Likewise, in speech production also, I can use 10 previous samples to produce the 11th sample. To produce the 11th sample within a small time frame of 10 or 5 milliseconds. Fine. And whenever I do such a prediction will not be exactly correct. I say that the student will score 64% in the next semester and suddenly something happens, he scores 40%. Fine. Or suddenly he reads more or one question paper, he gets very easy and he scores 68%. These things can happen. Beyond the reach of statistical methods, isn't it? So likewise, once a prediction is made, the actual thing will have certain deviation. The deviation between actual speech unit, speech sample, and the predicted speech sample. This difference is called as LP residual. This is an important parameter which is being used by speech community to represent vocal folds vibration pattern. Vocal folds vibration pattern. Fine. So this is called as linear prediction residual. And we have certain parameters related to epochs. Epoch means when your vocal folds close. The instant of closure of your 2 vocal folds, when the pressure of the air drops down, that is called as epoch. These epochs have what parameters? Those parameters we have studied. And once these vocal folds open, the air comes out. Air comes out. At that time, the volume and velocity of the air that comes from the lungs to the mouth, that also can be measured by means of certain equipment like electroglottograph. We call it as electroglottograph. Those signals are also considered. And some parameters on this GVV signal, glottal volume velocity signal. we have used. These are all the features which I have newly proposed, or along with the existing features, I have proposed the new features, and then I try to extract them. This whole slide talks about how to extract LP residual. If you see this, you can understand. En is error. Sn is original speech signal. S tilde n is predicted signal. The difference between these two things, Sn and S tilde n, is En, which is nothing but LP residual. Difference between actual and predicted signal, as I said. And this is a list of different features I have used in excitation source. First is higher order relationships among LP residual samples, phase of LP residual signal. I'm not going into very much details of this. Some pictures I have shown. Those pictures, from those pictures, you can understand some concepts. Let us not worry much about this, because these are highly implementation oriented features. If I simply explain them through words, may not be encouraged. So you can see here. Again, this is the LP residual signal which I have obtained from a speech signal. Here, speaker is same, and what he or she has spoken, that is also same. But there is a difference between LP residual of anger and disgust and fear and happy and neutral and sad. You can see the signals itself. These are LP residual signals of same speaker, same sentence. Emotions are different. You're seeing the difference in the signal, isn't it? That difference itself is because of emotions. I played them. I think you might not have heard them. It's fine. The right side, what I have put, they're all LP residual signals played, and left side, all the speaker indications, they are all original speech signals. This is LP residual. The difference which you are observing has to be, the difference which you are observing between different speech signals has to be encashed to identify emotions. And this is glottal closure instance, or epochs. Epochs means when glottal folds close. From the speech, it is very difficult to identify where do we have closure of glottal folds, because all this excitation source is property of glottal closure behavior or glottal folds behavior. You need to know when the glottal folds close, how fast they close, how fast they release. All these are the parameters which we call as epoch parameters. We call them as epoch strength, epoch duration, all these things. My next slide tells that. So we have identified the region of glottal folds. The region of glottal folds. So last row in D, whatever you are seeing, these sticks which you are observing, those are the locations of glottal closure. So once you know the locations of glottal closure, you can study the signal around this glottal closure to decide the behavior of the signal in different emotions. You see here, for the glottal closure or epoch, we have extracted 4 features. One is strength of epoch, another one is instantaneous frequency, third one is sharpness of epochs, fourth one is slope of strength of epochs. And here the plotting is done for 2 extreme emotions, anger and sadness. You can see for anger, strength of epochs is very high, and for sadness, this bottom one, the strength of epochs is very low. Means if there is a change in the strength of epoch, it pertains to different emotions. That's an indication from this. This is from one sentence. Similarly, for anger and sadness, you have completely different distributions of instantaneous frequency. Instantaneous frequency means cycle by cycle frequency values. Cycle by cycle frequency values. Then sharpness of epoch, it is mixed, very difficult to identify. Means we may not use this feature. But slope of strength of epochs we can use, because for sadness it is different, and for anger it is almost flat. For sadness it is fluctuating. Once high, again low, high, low, like this. Fine. But you can see one flat line here. That line is for anger. Similarly, for six different emotions, we have these are called as histograms. We have plotted histograms also. Histograms will give you the spread of data points, and will also give you what is the frequency of particular data point, how many times it has occurred. So if you see these frequencies, it shows that strength of epoch, for anger it looks like this, for sad it looks like this. There's a difference. These differences we can encache through machine. Right? So this is a glottal volume velocity curve. This is a glottal volume velocity curve. It tells about what is velocity and what is the volume. The area under this curve is a rough estimation of volume of air released in that cycle, and its velocity pertain to the height of this curve. Sometimes this height is more here in this case, and sometimes it is less. And volume also, sometimes here volume is more, here volume is less. This will help us to decide the emotions. I said some GVV parameters, glottal volume velocity parameters. So if you see these parameters, the same, whatever you had seen here, these curves have been expanded and shown here. So here, this is the phase, this is the point where your glottal folds are completely open. This is a point where your glottal folds are completely closed. Means from closed region to open region, this is the time taken along x-axis, you can see here. And but for closing, the time is less. For opening, the time is more. For closing, the time is less. I think you're observing the cursor where I am pointing to. So opening phase, this is one parameter we had taken for each emotion. For closing phase, this is another parameter we had taken. And pitch is how many cycles? So pitch period, it's not a pitch cycle, it's pitch period. So pitch period for one cycle is this much. Fine. So these are all the features which I have extracted from GVV parameters to characterize emotions for using GVV signal. Right? So using all these things, what are the results I got? And one more thing I want to tell here, till very recently, from IIT Chennai, some papers had come. Before that, people had thought that the air which comes from the lungs and released into mouth, its nature is a noise-like. So noise does not contain much information. So that the part related to excitation source was ignored, saying that it does not have any contribution or much contribution in speech production. But here in this work, we have completely used only excitation source features, and using LP residual signal, we got 46% using the data set IIT KGP SESC. This is a database which I have collected. Speech, this is IIT KGP SES, Simulated Emotion Speech Corpus. IIT KGP stands for IIT Kharagpur. IIT Kharagpur Simulated Emotion Speech Corpus. And MODB is already a data set which is existing, and many people have produced or reported the results in the international scenario. It's a German data set. So I conducted my experiments also on this. I got 44% here and 46% here using only LP residual signal. And LP residual signal around GCI. GCI means glottal closure instance. When your vocal folds close, what is the behavior of this LP residual around that? So if I consider that information, then it is 54 and 52%. Actually, it is point something, but those significant digits are not considered here. Then phase of LP residual, 41 and 39%. Then LP residual phase around GCI, little improved. So if you see the results here, 41, 48, around 7% improvement of result is there. Means if you consider or there is emotion specific change around epochs or around the region of glottal folds closure in LP residual signal. Then epoch parameters, those 4 epoch parameters are shown, strength of epoch, slope, all those things. So that will give 50 and 48%. Then epoch parameters at syllable level, you may consider them at a whole signal level or word level or whatever it is. So syllable level once you consider, we get 48, 55. Then samples of glottal volume velocity signal, GVV signal, directly take that signal itself, we get 51% and 50%. GVV parameters at opening phase, closing phase and all that stuff once we use, we get 47%. Epoch parameters at utterance level, complete utterance, and 4 epoch parameters. Epoch parameters at syllable level, epoch parameters at utterance level. We got 52, 51%. Means using only excitation source, which people had thought it's a noise and we did not consider that, we got highest of 54% in case of IIT, KGP, SCSC, and in case of MODB it was 52%. So experiments are further, here what we had used was support vector machines and auto-associative neural networks. AANN, auto-associative neural, it looks like your generative neural networks, GANs. Okay. So that we had used, and block diagram looks like this. A feature vector was extracted and was given to 6 different SVMs, which were developed using the speeches of different emotions. And then the results are given to decision device and decision is taken. So excitation source features, people had discarded them before. Through our experiments, we found out that there is some useful information, but that information alone may not be sufficient to take a decision, but it definitely has got some useful information. Then as a complementary natured features, we need to go for the next spectral or system-based features. So spectral features, whatever we had used in this work are LPCCs, linear predictive cepstral coefficients, MFCCs, Mel frequency cepstral coefficients, and some format features we had used, and entire speech signal we have used. This is called as conventional block processing. And also we had used only vowel regions, only consonant regions, and consonant to vowel transition regions. All these things we had studied. Pitch synchronous analysis also was done. So these are the spectra. Means same phoneme uttered by same person in different emotions. You see, the peaks are called as formants. The peaks are at different places. What are the emotions those are written here? And position of formants is also different. Along x-axis we have frequency. Along y-axis we have magnitude. Fine. This is a motivation for us to continue work. So what are the features we have considered? We have considered 4 formant locations, 4 formant peaks. Peaks means amplitude, locations means frequency, what frequency, and 4 formant bandwidths. Bandwidths means what is the width here at the bottom, what is the width? This is called as bandwidth. And 1 slope of line joining of the first and second formant. So total 13 features were used. You see here, all these features are explained. formant peaks and locations. So this represents peaks. This is peak, this is peak, first and second formant. Likewise, third, fourth formant also. And locations means along x-axis. Peak means along y-axis. So here, spectral roll-off. It is line joining of first formant and second formant, and the angle taken with respect to horizontal. You can see those are different here. So for anger, happy. For happy, angle is less. For anger, angle is more. And this is a bandwidth. This is a bandwidth. Bandwidth is more in case of anger compared to happy. All these features we need to extract. So subsyllabic region, as I was telling, there is a point. Say for example, this is ka. In ka, we have and ka. So there is a point in this figure from where a starts and ka stops. From where a starts and ka stops means consonant stops and vowel starts. So that point is called as vowel onset point. Vowel onset point. The thing before that is a consonant region. The thing after that is a vowel region. And once the signal moves towards vowel region, after a certain time it attains a steady portion. Steady portion means the amplitude of all these signals is same. But till then the amplitude is rising. So once amplitude is rising, we call it as CV transition region, consonant to vowel transition region. So this transition region is most important for any speech features. Once the vowel reaches its steady state, normal state, you don't have much information, just continues. But once it is transforming, what is the speed of transformation, or what is the variation in the different peaks, all these are the useful features. So we extracted features from CV transition region, or we found that the features from CV transition region are more emotion specific. So vowel onset points, how to detect vowel onset points. We took a basis of excitation source and spectral peak features and spectrum energies, all these things are considered, and finally peaks are found out. In image, in figure E, you can see the peaks of each regions where the vowel starts. So these are the different spectra of consonant region, vowel region, and CV transition region. The first one, figure A, 5 spectra taken from vowel region. There is no much change, all spectra are same. The next one is from CV transition region. You see, all spectra are different, only formant 1 is same. But formant 2, 3 is same. Formant 2 is okay. And concentration, totally there is no correlation. You need not consider this. This is highly disturbing. Right? So CV transition region we can use. So in CV transition region, if we consider for 5 different emotions, and these are the things. CV transition region of anger is A. CV transition region of sad in E. So you see how difference between the spectra. It's a highly observable difference. So this has to be encashed. So pitch synchronous analysis. The 3 top line which you are seeing are the 3 consecutive cycles of a signal. At the bottom we have their spectra. Spectrum of this signal is this, the second signal is this, but there are changes, lot of changes in the spectra. If you see this region and this region, there's a change. Means side by side cycles also have got a sufficient change if you go for analyzing by pitch. So the results are block processing, which is existing. Normally people use MFCCs, LPCCs, and the entire signal they process. So those things by using different features. LPCCs, these are the results. This is MODP. I said one movie data set we have collected. That is MESC, Movie Emotion Speech Corpus. So for all of them, these are the results. So highest results we obtained was for LPCCs and format features in case of first category. In case of only vowel region, the highest results obtained are for LPCCs and format features. And I have explained what LPCCs are, what format features are. For consonant regions, very poor results, 49%, 46 and 44%. For CV transition region, we have almost similar to block processing, 68, 66, 71%. For pitch synchronous analysis, better results in case 70, 68 and 74%. And what it indicates is pitch synchronous analysis will give us good result compared to other system related features. In block processing, entire speech signal we process. In pitch synchronous analysis also entire speech signal we process. But CV transition region, very small portion we process, but the result is almost equivalent to either block processing or pitch synchronous analysis, 68%. So these are the observations to be made. Then the spectral features, previously people had said that LPCCs do not perform well, but in our case LPCCs performed well. And there's 4 to 5% increase in the emotion recognition performance once the other features are used along with the format features. Last one is the prosodic features. So in case of prosodic features, we call them as suprasegmental features or long-term features. I have used 3 features as I said: duration, energy and pitch. So if you see for different emotions, just durations. This is sentence-wise duration I had taken here. Sentence-wise durations. And this is energy. For some emotions, energy is very low. For some emotions, energy is very high. And the last one is pitch information. So again, you can clearly see in some cases pitch is very high, and in some cases pitch is very flat. Right? So these features we have encached. The prosodic features we had used are global features, local features, and combination of both global and local features. The results, whatever we got, in case of male artist, so duration in case of seconds, it is same sentence spoken by same person, average, and for different emotions. Different emotions. So energy is highest in case of fear, 263, and pitch is highest in case of surprise, and duration is highest in case of compassion. All these observations we had made. The trends were more or less same. Not more or less the same, they are different. In case of males, compassion has got a longest duration. In case of females, sarcastic has taken longest durations. These kind of differences are there. And this is called as box plots. Box plots. So box plots will give you the information about these 3 prosodic features: energy, duration in seconds, and pitch values. And these will indicate male and female. This blue one indicates, the middle bar of blue one indicates average, and middle part of this box indicates median. Median is half of the values lie below and half of the values lie above. The highest value is here and the lowest value is here. Means in the lower half we have what? Lower half we have more values, higher half we have lesser number of values. So mean is somewhat lower than the median. These observations we can see here. Mean is same. In case of males and female energy values, if you take mean and median are same. But if you take duration, mean is much less than median. Fine. In case of pitch, mean is higher than median. So these observations we can do. And we also had considered initial part, middle part, and final part of the word. Sometimes a person cannot be equally emotive once he starts speaking and when he completes speaking. Earlier part of the sentence will be highly emotive, and slowly the emotion, feeling of that emotion fades down. That to study that, we had taken initial portion of the utterance, some words, middle portion, middle words, final words, and these are the observations we saw. And once we combine all of them, we got around 67%. 67%. Utterance level, once we consider complete utterance, it was 65%. But once we consider syllables, it is 66%. More or less same in all prosodic these things. Yeah. So these are the summary. Global and local. Local means either syllables or words. Global means entire sentence. Those things, the results were given. I think we can give some time for question answers also. We can stop now because I have certain applications developed later using these features. How to classify natural emotions and how to go for two-stage classifications. Can we combine certain features to improve the emotions, all those things. So that we need not discuss in this presentation. So here I do not know whether I have become too much technical or what, whether you could follow whatever I had discussed. Just it was introductory. Those who are working in the speech might have got certain idea, definitely. Those who are not working in the speech might have got certain idea, at least to what level of depth we need to go in research if we want to have good publications or something of that kind. Whatever area you are working in, if you are very superficially at the superficial level, if you are wandering, then you get the information same as others have. I think you're getting. Everyone will read certain survey articles. He or she has got certain information. So as a researcher, if you also read a survey article, then you also will have got the same information. Then you are not a researcher. Generally, for time passing or for to have certain information, you have read that article and you got that information. But once you go one step down, two steps down, then you will be moving into the depth of that area where other people cannot go, and you have certain information that is worth noting in a research community, which can be very easily published. So as a researcher, what my request to you is, you need to go one depth down, one level down, two levels down, three levels down. That depends upon the time what you have, means how much time you have been left with the submission, and how much time you can give for this research every day, and what is your interest in getting into the depth. So all these things. So the research is not very enjoying thing. It's always a boring job. But whatever we are doing, we need to love that. It's Indian culture and tradition, isn't it? So love marriage is one, marriage and love is other. If you choose to do research, then you start loving it. Then only you can do research. If you are doing it for some other requirements like promotion, job, and all these kind of things, research will not be a perfect research. So with this, I thank all of you for being the patientful audience, and I also thank organizers for giving me an opportunity to share some of my research outcomes. These were the things which I had done long back, not very long back, but recently some new articles might have come where they might have used some new features and new classifiers. Those things, if you want, you can go through. And if there is any option for questions answers, organizers may please permit to the audience to put their questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for such an informative talk. Thank you for being conscious and conducting such a wonderful
Thank you.
talk. So we have one question from Professor Purnima. Can I?
This is
She wants some brief on MFCC.
MFCCs are very standard features which everyone is using who is working on the speech paradigm. So there are a lot of codes also available. Those are called as null frequency capsule coefficients. Systematic steps are there, and codes are also available to implement all those steps. There is one toolbox in MATLAB called as ViceBox. That ViceBox also will give you the code, where you need to give only speech signal as an input and you get MFCC values as an output. So you and there is one person, Atal. He has given a nice tutorial also on this MFCC features. You can refer to that. Yes, ma'am.
I think we have no more question left, sir. Thank you, sir. And even Purnima Madam is convinced by your answer.
Yes,
Thank you
thanks.
for being here, sir. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.